morning. Welcome to FMA Discussion. This is episode 291, and today we are going to be featuring Martial Arts Symposium. And for those of you who don't know what this is, it's a yearly event held in Manchester, New Hampshire, which is pretty incredible. I was very fortunate enough to go this year. Not only did I get the opportunity to teach, but I also went as a student and checked out the various teachers there. It's incredible. If you ever get the chance to go to this, I highly recommend it. Oh, I mean, there is just a plethora of different styles, instructors, Kung Fu, kickboxing, there's BJJ, Wing Chun, Silat, and of course, we're going to cover the piece, the FMA Invasion, along with the Martial Arts Symposium. I think Terry Dow just does an incredible job, what I witnessed. I mean, no easy undertaking. I mean, just, putting the schedule together, who's going where and what sections. I mean, it's just incredibly well done. I found all the instructors were really welcoming. I was a newbie, anxiety ridden on the way up there. But again, just incredibly done. And today we're featuring him along with Datu Tim Hartman. So just on Datu Tim, he's been on here before, and just something I want to say, I don't think there's another person in FMA community that brings different instructors together more than he does. So he definitely is the epitome of unity doing that. Some talk the talk, very few though really, I think, really put into motion and do it. And that's what FMA's discussion is about. We bring out the truth. Okay, who's doing what? Who's home the community? Who's bringing the community together? Okay, so without further ado, please welcome Master Terry Dow, and then Datu Tim Hartman. Hey, welcome guys. Thank you for coming on.
How you doing?
Good. So we had a little issue Tuesday. Come to find out it was B Live's audio on the host. So it was nothing had anything to do with us. It was something, and they had to resolve it in an hour. So yeah. So unfortunate as it may, but hey, we're on here now. So that's all that matters. So I want to thank you both for coming on. Again, you guys the opening. I just thought it was an incredible event that you put on, Master Terry. I just think it's, I can't commend it enough in what you do. And I can't imagine the effort you put into it to put this thing together. I just, when I was there, I just looking at everything that you're responsible for, and it was overwhelming.
Thanks,
so just, we're going to touch upon that, but just so for the folks, I mean, so just, those who might not know, where's your martial arts background?
I started in Kempo karate when I was a kid because my mom went to high school with an instructor in the neighboring town, so she felt comfortable bringing me there. So I started when I was 9. And around the time of being 20 years old, my instructor knew that I loved kicking things and was working on Superfoot video stuff. Anything I could find. I had to order it from Panther Productions at the time, and just worked on everything I could get my hands on of his. And he was doing a seminar in Massachusetts, and my instructor said, hey, we're not supposed to leave our organization and do other things, but I know how much you love Bill, so I want you to go to this thing. Just don't tell anybody you're doing it. And then I got to meet Bill, and there's probably 50 plus people in the room, and he said, chamber your knee, and everybody picked their foot up about waist high, and I'd already been working on his videos, so I pulled mine up about where my shoulder is, kind of like him, and he saw it from across the room and kind of walked over to me and put his elbow on my knee and said, that better be there when we're done, and then proceeded to beat on us for about 3 hours. And I kept up the best I could, but at the end, and so ironically, one of the techniques that he had us throw, we have a partner and we're trying to score techniques. And I hit my partner with all 3 kicks that I was supposed to throw. And, sometimes they block 1 or 2 of them. And so I was waiting for Bill to pat me on the back. I was so excited that I did that with him watching. And he's like, okay, that was good, but I need you to get your knee in this position. I need you to do this. And so for a second, I was kind of offended. I was like, hey, where's my pat on the back? And by the end of the seminar, it sort of occurred to me that that's the teacher I wanted, the person that no matter how good it was, it could be better. And so I asked him if it was a possibility of training with him. And he said, hey, I'll be back in Rhode Island in a couple months. Why don't you meet me there? And so I met him there. And, then he gave me a phone number and said, I'd love to train you more. He's like, why don't you come out to LA? And I had never met a celebrity like him, so I wasn't even sure if the invitation to LA was am I gonna see you when I go to LA?
Yeah, when you go out there,
I'm gonna end up at a school waiting for you to show up someday. And so I called him, and it was his home phone number. I almost dropped the phone when his answering machine had his voice on it. I thought I was going to get a secretary at a gym, and we became friends. And it was a few months before I was able to go out there because I was in college at the time. So I kept calling him monthly to make sure that he was still wanting to train me. If you hear the story from him, I essentially bugged him every day, but so he was renting a house from somebody that had a spare bedroom, and he said, if you want to stay here, they'll charge you $300 a month. I'm like, man, I should move. So spent the summer with him in LA, and trained. We did a 2-hour private every day at the Jet Center, which is Benny the Jet's place.
Oh, okay.
Benny was traveling. I actually I didn't meet him till Atlantic City about 5 or 6 years ago. Didn't get to see him the whole time I was in LA. Anyway, long story short, I've had some awesome opportunities after training with him, and, we just kind of hit it off, and he liked the fact that I gravitated towards his style and abilities. It was just very comfortable for me. And this is probably another whole topic, but as instructors and as students, we don't always afford the same skill set as our teachers, in that, they might teach something and it's uncomfortable for us, or whether it's physically or psychologically, just a little bit different. I never felt that way with Bill. I felt like from day one, stylistically and psychologically, it was just a match for me. It was a stick and move sort of system. It wasn't in the pocket, bang it out. It wasn't like, jump in from 10 feet away with the back fist reverse punch. So everything he said just felt really comfortable to me. So I was super, super excited to be able to find that match. And then I just went everywhere I could that he was at. If I could drive 10 hours and sleep in my car to train with him, I did.
Wow. So when did you first, about what year did you first start training with him? Like, how long has it been?
I met him in 1993, and that was 1994 that I went out to train with him.
So going on 30 years. All right. Wow. And so, and then is this correct? Am I correct in that you're to be his heir or one of them? Is that, am I correct in that?
That's what they say.
That's incredible. I mean, obviously, he's obviously sees something in you for him to even consider such. I mean, that's wow. I mean, that's known.
Well, I was kind of shocked myself. I mean, I never look at it like that. I always just wanted to be the best martial artist I could be. I enjoyed sparring. I enjoyed fighting. I enjoyed traveling and training and competing. And I trained with him because, in my opinion, he was the best for what I wanted to do, and he helped me to be better. And there was never a day that he didn't tell me I could be better at something. And that just kept me hungry to go back and refine and train. And it kept me excited to see him again, because I knew he would pick something apart. And his eye for detail is incredible. I remember one time I was having difficulty with my hook kick, and I wasn't landing it anymore, and I couldn't figure it out, and I couldn't wait to go see him. And I swear to you guys, we get to the seminar, I line up in a group of however many people, and he goes, everybody chamber your legs. I pick my knee up, and from across the room, he walks over, he puts his arm on my knee, and he goes, having trouble with your hook kick? I was like, what on earth? I was like, how did you know the one question I came here to ask you today?
That's incredible.
And he's like, well, you're chambering it too far on the roundhouse kick side, so it's going to get jammed as it comes around. And I was like, my head exploded. I was like, how on earth did you see that? So it's always that, I think, that kept me coming back. And, to this day, he's a perfectionist, so he's still trying to work on things for himself. He works out harder than everybody else in every seminar, and every time I see him, I get to pick his brain. And there's always something, as we're teaching, we might switch gears to help a student with a particular aspect of fighting, and then we'll start getting muscle memory in that area, and it might be different than the big picture. You know, for example, if we're working clinching or boxing skills, I'm not as bladed sideways, but then you get muscle memory to square up, and you're not supposed to in Superfoot. So he'll see that, and he's like, "You've been teaching boxing?" I'm like, yes. Yeah. So
that's incredible.
And it's just that teacher that keeps teaching and helps you continue to develop and grow.
Yeah, it sounds like just a great relationship besides a student teacher. I mean, it sounds like it goes far beyond that. You know, which is, and Datu Tim, just for the folks, I mean, you've been on several times, episode 83, 259, 264, and 270, but perhaps for the folks who might not know, just, you know, briefly, your martial arts background.
I do stick.
I could have summarized the whole thing with I kick.
Yeah. Commercial.
Yeah, give it. So first of all, listen, Terry's being way too. He's a very humble person. Bill has mentioned more than enough times on where Terry is. Terry's the guy, and he's got a lot, and Bill's got a lot of good people, but Terry's really embraced the Superfoot teachings, and he's the guy. Aren't you like the VP or something, Terry?
Technically the president. Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Or something. You know, there you go. Whatever.
VP, what do you mean?
It's funny because I mean I don't look at it. And just to plug the other guys, you know, there's 3 other guys in the organization with me that we click, and we're all even as far as our responsibilities under Bill, and they're phenomenal guys. It's Jim Ginter, Chris Natsky, and Paul Ackland. Those guys are phenomenal. We're all like a band of brothers, and everybody has the same mission, and that's to help, you know, Bill and promote Bill, as well as promote the system and help everybody that wants to learn how to kick or kickbox be able to get that information from Bill. So, you know, yeah, I get uncomfortable with titles and positions only because the guys that are with me are my brothers, and they're phenomenal, and they do as much work as I do. So,
yeah, he's the guy. So, as far as what I do, so I was. I was a senior student of the late Grandmaster Remy Prices. He opened the door for me to do other things. I've done Balintawak with a classmate of his, Ted Buat. I worked with his brother, Ernesto Prices. I still go to the Philippines, and I visit with Roberto because the third brother is still with us. I do seminars. I mean, it's hard to talk about yourself.
What about the Bondo? Hey, there's not many people in the U.S. that teach, so I would bring that up.
So I do Bondo through Dr. G. I was a personal student. Who was a consultant to Ed Parker, as well as Joe Lewis, who was a very good friend of Bill Wallace. So there's this 6 separations things, type going on. So I'm Bondo stick instructor. I've done a lot of different Bondo, but when it came to certification, I actually went the stick fighting path. I was a master level instructor in that. And one of my students, George Harris, he actually went the whole way in and became a black belt in Bondo. So a lot of that, most of the stuff that I do is about looking at the roots of what we do. I do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but I've been doing it since the 90s. I'm still a white belt because when there's something that's more FMA centric for me to get involved with, I do it. My instructor is a school teacher in Canada. I'm on the border, but between the border getting shut down and this, that, and the other thing, teaching during the day, we don't always get together. But I'm more to that's more for personal development. But generally, I try to find things that Modernese, created by Remy Prices, was a Filipino Jeet Kune Do. It was absorbed what is useful prior to Bruce Lee creating Jeet Kune Do. And so I actually went into the roots of what we did. Like a lot of JKD people that I've talked to have gone in and researched Wing Chun.
Different stuff. Yeah.
So because of my modern, I got into Balintawak, Kung Tao, Sikran. I've also got into Kombatan. Like I said, I was a personal student of Ernesto Prices as well. I think the two are very compatible. They're from the same chassis, but went into different directions. So, I mean, like I said, I do stick.
You do stick. In short, I do stick. So, folks, if you're watching, tell us where you're watching from. Smash that like button. And we're just getting started. Again, this is going to be on the Martial Arts Symposium and how there was a piece from FMA Invasion. All right. So, Master Terry, yeah, I mean, so I know you mentioned this in the test run, but just for the folks who maybe didn't see that or not aware, how did you create the Martial Arts Symposium, and what was your inspiration and goals?
I mean, inspiration, I think, since I had the opportunity to train with Superfoot at such a young age, I got to travel to events, and those events always had a lot of different teachers teaching different things. I met Michael DiPasquale through that and got my black belt in Japanese Jiu-Jitsu under him. And so I've had these opportunities to cross-train with these amazing different people. And I've always wanted my students to have that same opportunity. So there was a gentleman probably 2 miles from my school named Steve Lefebvre. And
who's that guy?
Who's that guy? And at the time, he was cross-training a lot of things at his school. So he had a big grappling component, as well as the stick and knife stuff. And a few of my students were training there in working on that. And I would always just send them, hey, go, if you want to learn that stuff, you got to go to Steve. And so because we kind of had a common students, that sort of developed our own friendship, because each of us was open-minded enough to be kind about the other's instructional portion with the student. The student didn't come back and do something and go, where'd you learn that? That's terrible. I was always impressed with everything I saw that technically that Steve taught. And so we became friends. And then a few of the schools in the New England area had hosted Bill on a few occasions. And I got to meet those school owners when he was there doing those seminars. And as we sort of became friends, we're like, hey, guys, we should all get together. We didn't even have a name for anything at the time. It was just training. I think it got named the Combined Martial Arts Camp at some point, and it was just sort of a generic thing that we could write on a piece of paper so we could save the date with our students. And we literally, I think it was 5 schools in all, and we would get together and rotate whose school we went to, and we would each bring our students, and we would each teach for an hour. And one of those students was Jason Scaduto, who had Mike Fitzgerald there all the time. And Mike Fitzgerald introduced me to Mike and May Williams. So Mike and May sort of joined the fray. And so I think the last time we did it, before I called it the symposium, we had I think 86 or 87 students training that day from 5 schools. So, averaging 15 each, I guess.
Yeah.
And then there was a guy running an event for Hansi Juchnik out in Keene called the East Coast Gathering. And he was going to be moving out of the area, not going to be hosting the event. And so I guess to backtrack a little bit, I had met Bruce Juchnik at his event, and then he and I kind of hit it off. And so I asked him if he wanted me to try to continue that style of an event on the East Coast, because we already had these people coming together. And ironically, it was a little bit selfish on my part, because I got to bring in Michael DiPasquale, Bill Wallace, and Bruce Juchnik separately throughout the year. I was like, let's just get this done, man. Let's everybody come the same day. Let's all train. And Hansi Juchnik had several schools in Maine with Ryan Chamberlain and Brent Creasy, and schools in Mass with Steve Bonk and a few other people. And so they all kind of joined the first year's event to see him. And a friend of mine in New Jersey is a math teacher, and years before we had tried to come up with a name for the instructors getting together and training, and he was throwing all these names out, and he said Symposium, and it stuck in my head. And so I was like, all right, well, we didn't do anything with that. I'm going to steal it. And then we just called it the Martial Arts Symposium. And then ironically, I saw that Michael DiPasquale hosted a martial arts symposium in the early 90s. So pretty much just looks like I stole it from him. So, but I had no idea until years later.
What year did you officially kick off Martial Arts Symposium?
That's a great question. I should have looked it up since we talked about it the other day.
I mean,
I'm guessing 2005.
2000. Oh, so that long. So almost going on 20 years. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. And so it sounds like you already established your goal. Which I just, again, I can't commend you enough on what I witnessed and was part of. All those different styles under one roof. Collaboration. I didn't see any, or I didn't notice any. But
I think
egos or just
we all have egos. They're all there.
But controlled or kept.
Yeah, I think the earlier years there would be conflicts with fires I had to put out with,
I think I was there for one of them.
You're gonna get somebody killed teaching that, and so in my head I'm always thinking like it's I'm sarcastic, so in my head I'm thinking, well, would it have? But I don't say that. I just go, it's all right, guys. How can we work this out? And over the years, I think the instructors have grown in many ways. Obviously they're all great instructors, but they've now going on 20 years of being at the event. Some of them have been there from the very beginning, and they get the gist of figuring out a common topic to teach. We could all pick apart and say, well, I can watch anybody kick and say, well, that's not how I'd do it. Or I can say, hey, here's the range we're starting from. Here's a piece we can add to that by utilizing this system. And I think everybody that comes really kind of gets the gist of that. New people, for the most part, for me, have to either be referred, like yourself from Datu Tim, or I'll let them, if they're an instructor, come in as a guest and check it out and train and get to kind of meet them and then talk to them and say, do you get the gist of this? Is this something that you think you can contribute to? And then I might even give them like a small, like if it was a Filipino thing, I might pull Tim aside and say, hey, can you bring this guy in and check it out and let me know what you think? So I kind of get feelers out there as we work.
Sure.
So
before you just bring anybody in there and before you know it.
Yeah, it could be bad for the new person. Not so much for the gang of everybody else, but.
Yeah, I tell you, unless I wasn't privy to it or I'm just oblivious, again, granted, I was new my first year, but I thought I saw harmony, you know what I mean? Unless, unless there's something I wasn't aware of. I saw definitely people courteous, as far as the space and that, giving everybody their, due time and being positive.
I think COVID helped. Everybody loves everybody now.
Yeah.
We're all happy to be at live events with people.
Yeah, I think too with the COVID, everybody was just happy just to freaking probably get out of the house too. So, so Datu Tim, how did you get involved and what was the first year?
Well, it was a longer. Well, it's gonna be short. So I did. I stopped into the Renaissance Martial Arts Festival to meet with some guys I was gonna have teach at my event. Doug Marcaida was supposed to teach. There was complications going on with H1N1 at the time. I think he was working in the hospital and he couldn't get out. So while I was waiting for the event to be over, I told the host, Mark Cardona, well, I'm here. If you need someone to fill in, put me on the bill last minute. They loved the session, invited me the year back. That's when I met Steve Perlman. So Steve Perlman hosted the Saratoga Martial Arts Festival that Terry Dow had gone to a bunch of times. So I was invited there, started becoming an instructor. 1 year I did Panantukan, him and his lovely wife attended my session. And then they were going to Niagara Falls for their honeymoon. And I'm 20 minutes, 30 minutes away. They stopped in. And not 5 minutes after I started, his wife goes, hey, what's that punching thing you did again?
That punching
like, okay, if the Super Footballs people like what I was doing, I must be on the right path with my Panantukan. And Terry goes, listen, why don't you come on out? And this is an event I wanted to be associated with, but I'm not a guy that'll come up and say, hey, Dean, you got an event. Can I teach at it? I'm just not that person, Yeah,
nor am I.
So things lined up, and it's around 2014-ish, I think. I don't know. I was trying to find the pictures the other day, and I don't think Terry gave me a little more credit than I deserved on that. But I think like 6-7 years I've been involved with it.
Okay.
6 or 7 years back, including the COVID years. So you only shut down for one event, right, Terry?
Yeah, 2020 was funny because we were scheduled for April of 2020 when the thing just started kind of hitting the fan, and because we were going to close for 2 weeks, I thought, hey, let's push it back to July.
That's what I heard. 2 weeks. Hey guys, I'll see you in 2 weeks.
Yeah, so I was like, hey, July will be safe. That's more than 2 weeks from April.
Yeah.
And then it was worse in July. I was like, man, I should have just had it in April. And then I was like, well, let's try October. And then, talking to all the instructors, it was just kind of like, all right, guys, let's push it to next year. So I never officially canceled 2020. It just got rescheduled and
postponed.
And then 2021 was still sketchy because we were still in the midst of a lot of stuff. And New Hampshire ended the mask mandate the Friday night of my weekend, which is fine because I wasn't a fan of them anyway. But I didn't also need, 100 and something people from all over the place
coming in there. And
I was like, man, I was like, welcome to the super spreader.
Yeah.
But we were okay. I got no reports of it, and everybody was fine.
Yeah.
Actually, I look in like 2016 is the first flyer that I can find on my computer. But then again, Terry and I taught at a bunch of events together, so it may seem we've known each other longer. So we taught at Saratoga Martial Arts Festival together on more than one occasion, I think. We go to the Gathering, Bruce Jutnick's event out in it was in California at the time. Now it's in Reno, Nevada.
Okay.
So there's been a whole bunch of things that we both go to, or I used to go to Alan Goldberg's Super Show in Atlantic City, and the Bill Wallace crew would go there and do classes there and stuff. So, and I'd be teaching there as well. So there's a lot of times that we've been at the same place at the same time. So we've known each other a lot longer than
we were both teaching at separate events in Myrtle Beach at the same time.
Oh my God!
Like 4 hotels apart.
That was awesome. Hey Tim, are you teaching this weekend in Myrtle Beach? Yeah. Well, actually, we were Facebooking. I was taking a nap at a rest area because I think
I saw you checked in somewhere down there or something.
Yeah, and I was like, hey, you going to be there? Yeah. Why? You teaching there? Yeah. Where? At the Dragon Society? No. Bill Wallace has got an event. It was a Wallace Lewis event, and it was a memorial event for Mr. Lewis, I think. Okay. And literally the hotel across the street. So I was going back and forth between hotels, and there was a guy that Terry was talking to. This is how I know the story. So he goes, hey, there's a Grandmaster teaching across the street. You know him? I don't know. What about this Grandmaster? No. What about that Grandmaster? I don't know anything good. Man, they got a lot of bullshit Grandmasters. Hey, what about this Grandmaster? Hey, Tim's good. So I'm not saying that was bullshit about the people. I'm just saying I know the person he was talking to, and we're not going to use his name at the moment. But he had a conversation, and as he's talking, and it's like, man, every Grandmaster in the world's across the street. What the hell? And then like, and of course, I've got the title because of Kombatan, but I really just Datu Tim's fine or Tim. And he goes, then I met everybody there. I know Tim. Tim's a good guy. I'm like, okay.
Wow, fun. So, geez. So, all right. So then you got involved in. So, so you mentioned some, Master Terry, some early initial challenges. Just without you don't have to go detail, but like, what were some of your initial challenges when you officially went to Martial Arts Symposium and it started to grow and all that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the first reason that I held it was to give students the opportunity to train with different teachers. As a matter of fact, the first years that I held it, the students stayed in rank groups, so beginner, intermediate, advanced, black belt, and I rotated the teachers to those groups, so they had no choice over who taught them. Okay. It was like, no, you're going to get everybody. And then a few years later, I was like, people are paying for an event. Maybe they should be able to choose who they train with. And so then it became about, okay, well, how do we make all of the instructors feel like they're an equal part? I mean, obviously we have headliners that are the draw, but then there's other people that want the opportunity to be a part of that. And, it's like the poster is a great example, right? Because we put the poster up and then, there's grandmasters with big pictures and there's grandmasters with small pictures, and it has nothing to do with title or rank or anything else. It's just the way the poster gets put together. And so I have these challenges every year of just making sure that people aren't, offended by certain things or what have you. I want everybody to feel equally appreciated and then I just try to remind people that it's about the students and the arts, and not about anything else. Like, I was wondering if anybody was going to be offended at the banquet this year when I said all the titles up front and said, "There, I've said your titles," and then called people's names. But to me, it's just about that. And then because I care about the quality of the martial arts that are being taught. Sometimes in the earlier years, I would direct teachers that have different skill sets in different areas and say, hey, I think this would fit really well, and try to kind of push them towards the topics that would fit both at the event and combined with other instructors, because some topics aren't as easily transferable to other people teaching, and I try to put, if there's 2 or 3 people teaching a similar topic, I try to put them together. And then the goal for me, which is modeled after the way that Hanshi Juknik does his gathering, is there's a common topic. Okay, there's 3 of you guys, go play with each other, and hopefully everybody, like, my favorite thing when I taught at those events is to find somebody like-minded, and just, I teach an idea and you teach an idea and I teach an idea and you teach an idea. And it becomes this really cool energy where we kind of get to another level. And sometimes when we're teaching our own seminar, we get kind of stuck in one gear. So the challenge for me has always been, like, what personalities match the best? What topics match the best? How does everybody, feel appreciated and contribute and have a good time? And I think that's an ongoing struggle. The schedule is literally the hardest thing I do.
No, I remember you saying that, and I can definitely see why. And I think you managed incredibly well. Again, it was my first time going, but I thought the pairings, like, for instance, my first session I taught was stick grappling. And so, me being new, I'm just like, okay, well, this is on that show. And we all kind of piggyback it off each other. So I showed coming under a roof block, going to overhook, and then somebody piggybacked off that. But it was nice to see that, like, there wasn't contradicting things. They would say, okay, he's doing that. Well, let me see what I can build a chain off that. And so I thought that was really nicely done as far as the people I was with. You know what I mean? I didn't see, like, like a contest, per se. Like, it was more complimentary. So I thought that was really nice.
That's the goal. Yeah.
No, well done. I mean, it's what I saw. So, so it's all right. So you kind of touched on this, and then we're going to get into Datu Tim, FMA Invasion. So it's really involved. I mean, like, if you look back to your almost 20 years ago and what you're doing, I mean, like, where do you see this going? Or, I mean, how is it involved since then, besides more people? Are you getting more plethora of styles coming in? And so forth?
We do. And, I'm always excited when somebody comes to the table with an art I don't have. It's nice to mix up the people with the arts that we do have too, just to get different perspectives. But it's always cool when someone comes in and says, hey, I do something, I don't have. And then that's great, because I get to put that on the schedule, and it just draws more variety of people training. And in some ways, we all hope that it also allows people to see the similarities in the different arts. And I mean, we got 2 arms, 2 legs, elbows, knees, a head. I mean, how many ways can you move that correctly?
Yeah, right.
So we should be able to find the way things are common amongst arts. Maybe I have a different entry than you, but a lock is a lock, a strike is a strike.
Yeah, right. More
So
commonality and differences. So
I love bringing in, as far as where it's going, I love being able to bring in somebody that people are looking forward to meeting. And I've had a lot of suggestions of different celebrities over the years. It becomes challenging because some of them, have a high price tag associated, and if that high price tag isn't going to draw a bunch of people, then it's really just not worth it, because that's not what the event is about. It's about training and sharing, not about paying a celebrity. But it's neat when we can bring in people. It's starting to kind of draw different attention of different martial arts icons, and I've had a few that have popped by, and some that have said, hey, I'm going to be there next year. And Michael Jai White is one of our Superfoot black belts, and he's always filming, but he keeps telling me if he's ever not filming, he'll come. So, the goal is just to be able to bring some really talented, top-notch people that people look forward to meeting and training with. If I had something each year that was different from the year before, then maybe people would go, hey, I can't miss this year because so-and-so is going to be there, as opposed to, it's the same every year. I'll just catch it next year. So
right.
Try to get some excitement generated ahead and make people look forward to it, for very.
You jump on it. If I recall correctly, upon the weekend close of that, I think Monday or Tuesday, you had the next date for the next one. So you're not.
Yeah. When I pay the tab at the hotel, I book next year, and that way we know, because unfortunately, you guys all know our schedules as instructors gets busy quickly, and so I had a larger hotel for a few years, but they were so expensive. The only way I could afford it was to wait for them to give me an open date about 3 months ahead. We happen to have February 12th open, and here it is January. And, and then I would not have the opportunity to get certain instructors because of their schedules and being committed. So the hotel we're at is great. It'd be nice to grow into a bigger facility where we can spread out a little more. But unfortunately, those bigger facilities cost a lot of money, and it's hard to book that ahead. But this place is awesome. They have great staff. They have great food. I thought
it was great.
Speaking of which, isn't the camp or the symposium April 21st through 23rd, 2023?
It is. Thank you, Tim. I was about to look it up, but I didn't want to sit here and look at my phone while I was
I got you. And listen,
I should have the date in my head, but
15 minutes ish. I'm going to be if I get my day class might be starting, And for anyone who's tuning in, really sorry if I have to cut out. The technical difficulty was from this the podcasting platform and had nothing to do with the three of us. Yeah. So we fit it in the schedule. So if I have to go, I'm sorry.
When do you think you got to go?
I got a class in 15 minutes if anyone shows up. Sometimes the weather's nice, so I'm hoping that I got the
no sweat. Let's get you. Okay, so all right, so Datu, you've been going there for a few years and all that. What was kind of the inspiration incentive for you to kind of two-part question. Why did you feel it's important to bring FMA to Symposium? Second question, what was the incentive for the FMA Invasion?
There was no reason to bring FMA to the Symposium because Terry Dow had already done that
with Steve. Okay,
and others. No, there's been a list of FMA practitioners there, and what I will say is because I asked Terry, because I always, I'm about full disclosure, so I said, Terry, why do you have me here? And he said, there's a couple things. I go, listen, Steve is a great instructor, but he can only come for one day. I need somebody who can be there all weekend long. There's some other people we've had in the past, and you're able to teach. You're able to communicate and get people doing things. You're open, listening to people, and more importantly, you know how to work a crowd. So the thing here is he doesn't want another instructor that comes in, teaches, and goes out and goes out the door. He's got so many instructors there. He has a family atmosphere, and he wants people to be part of that. And we don't need any instructor. I'm not saying the instructors are standoffish, but some people in our industry do not have social skills. And for some strange reason, he thinks I do. I haven't decided that.
Imagine that.
Yeah, no one would believe that. And the check is in the mail for that. For the intro you gave for me, it's double what I normally give. So
I was going to talk to you about that after, but
it's 2 zeros. Now it's 4 zeros. So I doubled your.
Is there a number before the 4 zeros, or is it all 4 zeros?
It was 3. Now it's 4.
Decimal point 0000. So I doubled it. So there was no need to bring FMA because Terry had already done it, but he brought me on board because I brought value to the event, and I knew I fit the vibe of what he wanted. Now, he asked me always, hey, do you got anybody in anything that would do well? And yourself, Ty Botting, others have been mentioned. But it depends, like what there was a much bigger internal presence in the past. So Ty Botting, in addition to being a Filipino martial artist, also is Kung Fu. So some people COVID has taken some people off the table, and Ty was able to step up, and from what I understand, everyone enjoyed his session. And so he's always asking me, it's not just the FMA, because we have a very good rapport, and because Terry and I both go to all different events, we see plenty of people in different industries, so we're always contacting each other, going, "Hey, who do you got for X, Y, and Z?" As far as the thing went, it was about taking up the level of the branding of the symposium. The symposium, on the West Coast, there's the Gathering, and that's Bruce Chutnick. And the FMA guys that go to that event are a little twisted at times. So there was a big discussion when they went Rancho Cordova, which was my first one I went to. They had this room all to themselves. And the comment was, we're stuck in our own little room and no one gets to see them. I'm like, are you kidding? We have a dedicated room for the FMA track. Everyone knows room 605 or whatever the number was. If you want to do FMA, you go there. Everyone want to be on the main floor. There's too much chaos in the main floor. Terry gives me that side room for a bunch of my sessions at his event. Right. Dedicated track periodically, depending on who needs what. There's been symposiums in the past where the room that I was in on the side was FMA all day long. But you were doing stick grappling, so you needed the matted area. And sometimes you just, people need that particular room. But I think the problem with and I say this all the time, the problem with FMAers is we got to get the F out. We're martial artists. We're not everyone talks about, we're Filipino martial artists. We did the thing about the schools because someone said, well, of course there's no professional schools. It's Filipino martial arts. That's bullshit. The thing is, we're martial artists. And until you stop handicapping yourself, we will not be respected in the community. And the West Coast guys they got all the, listen, and you West Coasters, because I noticed there's some people logging in. I love you guys, but you got a lot of baggage, and a lot of guys are feuding and fighting with each other, and they look at things, and you got to look at the big picture. Everyone's looking at the selfie these days. Terry and Bruce and others offer opportunities for people to be seen. They're looking a gift horse in the mouth. I can care less what room I'm in. I'm going to make it the best damn thing I can. Yeah,
right. You got a spot.
And my thought was to bring FMA to the forefront when it comes to advertising. Now, Terry and I've helped Terry with some advertising in the past. The guy who does the poster is one of my guys, Hubbard. But we're constantly sharing contacts and, hey, I'll post it over here, you'll post it over there, blah, blah, blah. And, with this whole push as of late, I decided to do something for the FMA track. I did show him a video for the whole event. We were spitballing, but I got sidetracked because life happened. And I'd be more than happy to do a bigger video. But the problem is doing something for the symposium. How many instructors did you have this year, sir?
46.
Yeah. It's hard to put in a video of 46 photos and getting the photos of, and these guys, oh my God, they're all prima donnas. I know because Bob Hubbard was my guy, and he got, this person complained about being next to this person, the picture's too small. Well, listen, I'm on the bill. I've got the biggest photo, so screw you all. That's a joke because I don't have the biggest photo. But my goal was just to help continue that thing we've been talking about the whole year. Ever since you and I started talking, we got to promote Filipino martial arts. So I showed it to Terry. He thought it was awesome. I wanted to promote the Filipino track and also reach out to the FMA community to know there was a home for them at Terry's event.
And folks, here's the flyer that Datu generated, which I thought was pretty well done.
And we had a kick-ass music video that goes with it. And I roll in there, and Buckland, one of the guys that always busts my chops. The one year he goes, "Hey, what are you gonna do without your sticks?" And I went, click. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's all right.
I guess that's what you're gonna do.
But he goes, "I saw some video you had out there." Yeah. And for $20, I can make one for you too. But but the thing here is, this is about promoting Terry's event, and it was about promoting the FMA track. Because there's a lot of people out there that don't think we get our rights, our props. We have plenty of visibility opportunities. We just got to take them.
Yeah, no.
Looks like Carlito just joined us on the comments.
Yeah, you got a lot of comments there, my friend.
Chris, Chris the Cobb is chiming in. I can't comment back, but
Chris, we don't care. He moved. We don't want to talk to him.
I've neglected saying. Oh, we got.
Carlito's been somebody that's come out many years. He was one of the first people coming out.
We had him on a show here. Great guy. We got Guru Terry, Frank, Chris Brady, Maestro Alvin, Chad, Chris LaCava, Steve Grody, my man. And we got Mark, Patrick from California, and of course Maestro Carlito.
Yeah. Wow, I want, because when we did the pre-show, I want to make sure that everyone understands something. Terry has given me the opportunity to be at his event. And I've always been the thing, if I'm involved in something, I believe in ownership. When I had a job before I do this, my thought was, if the company does well, that means I'm going to do well. Which means I'm going to get paid well. I'm going to have a place to do all my things, So as long as if Terry's event has offered me business opportunities, selling merchandise, getting seminars, stuff of that nature, long distance students, it doesn't work for everybody because not everyone has skills that are the good thing about Filipino martial arts, it appeals to so many different people. Whereas a Taekwondo seminar really is for Taekwondo people. A Kempo seminar is more for Kempo people. You don't get those crossover clientele that you would with certain arts. And this is a great event. It promotes the martial art community as a whole, with a whole bunch of like-minded individuals checking their insecurities, not their ego, checking their insecurities at the door, saying, hey, we can all come here, play together, and I'm not worried about losing my students because my students are mine, yours are yours, and we can all have fun and play together and pick up different things. And that's why I support the event. That's why I did this branding thing. But I didn't put the FMA track in. He already had that. I recommended you. He already had Mike Williams. I recommended Ty a while back, but there was no spots at that time. Things change. People are on tap and ready to go. And anyone who's thinking about getting involved in these things, go to Terry's event. Participate as a practitioner. See the vibe.
That's the point, right? I mean, Ty came a couple of years just to train and to work with you, and I got to meet him and respect all of his abilities and knowledge, and it made it easy to put him on the schedule. So.
Oh, and he had a good rapport with people there. Here are the people, they want to go, I want to do a seminar. Okay, well, what have you done? And it was my rant the other day. What work have you done? Well, what do you mean? I go, I got these people who want to come on tour with me, who've never done seminars before. Oh, I don't get any money. No, you're not getting any of my money. I worked my ass off to make these contacts. You need to do the same. Well, how do I do that? Go attend seminars. Well, I don't want to pay money to attend seminars. Well, too bad. Terry, are you doing seminars now?
I got a bunch lined up this year that I'll be at, and that
Let me ask you. I'm gonna spitball an idea. I have an idea how you became how you became a seminar instructor. You assisted Bill a bunch of times. They saw you. They got to meet you. You spent money on travel, food, maybe the seminar fee. Eventually, maybe Bill said, don't worry about it. Just come. You'll be my assistant, blah, blah, blah. But you were on the road, logging in all the work. And then one day someone said to you, hey, would you mind coming and doing a seminar for me? I can't afford Bill, or I want you in between Bill and coming in. Is that how shit happened?
Yeah, honestly, I went to seminars because I wanted to learn. Right. And then when Bill was teaching, in the earlier years, I'd be participating, and in the later years, I'd be assisting. But I never even wanted my own spot when Bill was at an event. It was easier for me to just walk around and give people some insight, because sometimes Bill is on a track where he's just, you can't keep up. And I can walk around and say, okay, let's just take this back to the beginning, and this is what he meant, and this is how you get to where he is. And here's some ideas you can do with what he's talking about. And over that time of networking with people and working with people, and then, showing face, because I was with Bill, that led to a lot of different opportunities. And
There you go.
Trying to be a good people person, and I don't know what else to say. I mean, just, network and be kind. And,
exactly. And this is the stuff I'm talking about. You did your work, you got out there, you got to be seen. People want to be on. Okay, listen, here's my advice, because I'm going to have to go. If you want to teach at Terry's event, here's my recommendation. Go attend a year, drop a line ahead of time, reach out to him, meet him, go from there, But you don't put your name in to think you're going to get put on a bill when you haven't been proven. You need to be seen. You need to go out there. I know. There's a whole bunch of people. And now the cool thing about the event is there's a Superfoot seminar the day before, which is included. That next year I'm coming out early. I might even come out a night early just so I can do those sessions, because I'm going to be on the mats, and I want.
Yeah, that'd be nice to check out.
Yeah, it's part of the whole weekend.
Yeah.
Part of the whole weekend, But listen, you want to get involved with events like this, you know what you got to do? You got to get involved. You got to get off your butt. You got to go support things. And if you're sitting there, well, I don't want to pay to do this, then you're never going to be teaching a seminar. But the thing here is, like I said, Terry's the one that did this all. I helped him with a little extra promotion. I recommend names like you. Now I'm regretting it. No.
Yeah, thanks, Datu.
I got you, brother. But no, I listen. It's just, this is all about Terry's event. And as an FMA, as one of the premier FMA guys out there, because I just self-promoted myself, premier, I got to say, this is one hell of an event that is FMA friendly. So, gentlemen, I got to go teach a class. It's always a pleasure seeing both of you guys, and an honor being asked to be on the show.
We'll be in touch, because I got a couple things as far as coordination.
Yeah, I'm free after 1 o'clock today. If you have time, you want to talk about stuff. If not, they'll be later. And you saw the academy thing got postponed, right?
Academy.
Teaching at the police academy in June. That is now.
Oh, yes, I did see that.
Budget constraint. So now that we don't have to worry about that thing anymore. But
okay,
I'm free today and tomorrow, and just give me a holler whenever's good for you. I'll be around all weekend, and then I've got shameless plug. 65th anniversary camp starts next week's Friday. Still plenty of spots. You can get a ticket, and I'll talk to you all later.
Sounds good. Thank you for coming on.
All right, catch you later. As I sign off.
You can't get out.
Of course, when I want to sign out, it doesn't let me.
I got it. All right, so Master Terry, just on. So, what are your thoughts? And I know your first exposure was with Guru Steve, and then of course you've had people coming in at a symposium. Well, overall, what's your appreciation of FMA, and what do you think?
I love FMA. I mean, I was able to do some cross training in the early days, which, I started in Kempo. So there was some component of self-defense against, sticks or knives. And then when I started, I took the first few seminars with different FMA masters and grandmasters, I was like, wow, we didn't know anything about what we were doing. And then, as a kid who was bullied in high school, I always wanted to learn everything I could about self-defense or being mugged or held up or whatever it happened to be. So, through Steve Lefebvre and some other people, I got to attend a lot of different seminars. And because I still teach Kempo as a component at my gym, I love to bring back okay, you're being held up with a knife. Here's a couple techniques. And then, I just give credit to whoever taught it to me. It's not my system. It's, so I think FMA is one of the systems that can always overlay onto what anybody is doing. Almost every system out there has some component of a club attack or a knife or a gun scenario. And so the more you can learn, the better all that becomes. You get to incorporate it. And, like I said, I just overlay little techniques here and there from different people that I've learned it from. It gives the students something really fun to do and to kind of just get them exposed to it, and then say, hey, when you get a chance to go to a bigger event, here's the guys you should go check out, and, go pull some stuff back and come show it to me at the gym. So
yeah, right. Bring it back home.
I love it. I just think it's such an easily added component to any system of martial arts. And I'm by no means an expert, but I like to hang out with all you guys that are. So
yeah, I think you're right. The point you made, there's stuff that you can take and make it adaptable to whatever you're teaching. and all that. So even if you don't per se have the whole system, but you have a few concepts, and like you mentioned, perhaps like knife hold ups or stuff that you can incorporate in what you're doing and with your students. Is there a particular weapon that really resonates with you from FMA that you really enjoyed, or you wanted to go deeper, or perhaps?
I always liked anything with sticks or knives. It's just really fun to learn everybody's different. I mean, I'd say everybody's different patterns, but when you go to the different groups, they all have their different set of angles and the different flow drills and different things you can do with them. I always enjoy seeing what everybody brings to the table and how they approach it. And maybe there's a slightly different entry, but a similar disarm, or maybe so I just appreciate it all. Honestly, it's really fun every time I get the opportunity to jump in on something like that. It's one of my favorite things to jump into because it just makes it fun again. It's I'm not getting punched in the face by somebody. It's like getting hit with a stick. It's way better.
Or in your case, kicking or whatever. You get super bill there. Jeez. You mentioned, and this doesn't necessarily have to do with the symposium, but just overall, you advocate a strong component of the student's journey, like exposing them to everything or humanly possible. And part of the show here, one of the themes that we really express and that we're really profound on is the student's journey being so important. And I think that sometimes gets lost in translation with teachers and systems. Yeah. And what's your opinion on that? And how do you advocate? And what do you do to advocate for your students?
It's multi-layered, I guess. I mean, number one, as school owners, we need students. But if something that Superfoot always says, like, if they have fun, they'll come back tomorrow. So if we can constantly be doing something fun and something interesting and something exciting and constantly bring in new ideas that people can have a fresh set of, things to do or drills to do. I think everybody probably has a slightly different personal reason for their own journey, but it's going to overlap with everybody else's personal journey in a lot of ways. Somebody might have been here because they were picked on. Like, that's why I got into martial arts. Somebody else might want to competitively fight in a particular venue or, it obviously we all know the different reasons that people get into martial arts, but the journey, I've been very blessed with the journey that I've had. And I've always wanted to do everything I could to help people in their own journey, because it's been a life-changing thing for me. And if I can give back to what it has given me, then that's a success for everybody.
Do you find it still taboo and when maybe, I can only speak on FMA and a BJJ, the crowd, where if you cross-train, it's getting better. And I think it's only going to continue to get better. But if you go cross-training or you do it at a different camp, depending on the political friction or what's going on, or the indentured servitude mentality of the instructor, is that prevalent in the systems that you train?
That's how I think everybody was brought up at one point or another. So there's a lot of people that never broke the cycle. So it's, being with Superfoot has helped me a lot because he is such a personable, personality. He's nice to everybody. He doesn't speak ill of any particular system or art or way of doing things. He has a way that works for him that he's personally partial to if you ask him about it. But he will always say, he'll find something nice to say about everybody. And because of that, I think he's welcomed in a lot of different circles that maybe other people wouldn't be. And because I've been with him, I've been able to bounce around in all different organizations, and then different events like mine, like Bruce Stucknick's out in California. There's so many different teachers. I get to meet them. I get to network and work with them. So I'm fortunate as well, I guess, because I'm amongst like-minded peers, and so I don't see it as much in my day-to-day living because I surround myself with like-minded people. But I can tell you, of the 46 instructors that we have, only 2 or 3 are within my city, and most of the instructors have driven in probably a 3 to 5 hour commute for most of the instructors. Datu Tim's 8 hours, fly people in. So it's just kind of funny to see people travel from further away. And so what that says is that there's obviously a lot of local schools that are still nervous about, like, I don't want my students to see these amazing things.
That's a great point.
They might quit my school, which we kind of talked about last time. If you have an open mind and you bring these things in, your students aren't going to leave the community they're in. It's when they want something else and you discourage them and you create a negative environment that they just like, enough of this, I'm out of here.
Yeah, I mean, and you're so correct in that. It's like I advocate my students to really go out there and find, bring it back, find what you like. I mean, I don't have all the answers. I'm far from the single source of anything for that matter. And I think there's appreciation for that when they see that honesty. And what you're advocating for them, I feel like, you're making them important. I think there's appreciation for that, as opposed to like, oh, no, don't go there. Like I could tell you, I've left, and this is in the FMA world, I've left teachers who bashed others or tried to, it was toxic.
Absolutely.
And it's not good for anybody. And, overall, and definitely not for overall promotion of the arts, regardless of what system or style. And you seem to do that well. I'm sure your students appreciate, what you give them and what you advocate for them. And like you said, being around like-minded people, you know what I mean? And when you touched upon some of the neighboring schools not doing that, I'm probably going to guess, like you kind of alluded to, insecurities on their part, as far as their students.
Yeah, I mean, who knows what reasons they had. I think I came through an organization, like I said at the beginning of the show, my instructor brought me the flyer for the Superfoot seminar and said, just don't tell anybody you're going to this, but I want you to go. And that was when I ultimately opened a school under that organization and became the 12th school in the organization. And about 5 years later, I bought it so that it was mine, and I wasn't part of that organization. And mostly that was the differences of opinion of what I should be teaching at it. And I'm like, man, I'm tired of people telling me what I can and can't teach at my school. I've had the opportunity to work with Superfoot, with Michael DiPasquale, all these different people, the Filipino practitioners that were my friends. I want to be able to bring them in and do seminars. I want to be able to train. I want to add these ideas into my classes. So I guess I'm just kind of fortunate that I was able to follow that path. Who knows why people do what they do. But I think it's just history repeating itself, right? We were all told when we first started martial arts, it was like Cobra Kai,
That Cobra Kai mentality. Yeah.
It's so funny. There are people that are good friends of mine now from other towns that I distinctly remember in my organization being told, like, no, they're bad. They're bad martial arts. They're bad people. They're blah, blah, blah. And then years later, you're talking to them. You're like, why is he so nice?
Yeah, they probably just saw the light finally. They probably got all under that freaking blanket of ignorance or whatever was going on in that school. I think it's going, yeah, it's right. It is a form of brainwashing. And I think it's just so wrong for instructors to do that, because especially, and here's my issue, if you're a new student and you don't have compare and contrast, you're new and you're going to be easily persuaded because this is your first experience. I just think that's so wrong for instructors to take advantage of, like, somebody just walking in and this is what you're giving them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they don't know better. You know what I mean? They can't, I just think that's like, insecurity, ego driven. If you, so far as the symposium, like future goals for the symposium and yourself.
Just to continue to bring in different instructors that share the vision of sharing arts with students and having sort of a brotherhood where we all get to hang out with each other and have a good time, exchange information. And so obviously growing that, if we can get more students at it, then that affords us the ability to bring in more instructors as well. And so whatever we can do to continue to grow. I think we had around 200 people this year. And that's a great number, but I'd love to continue to grow the gathering out in California. Bruce Chucknick has anywhere from 300 to 450 or 500 people at it. So that's been kind of the template in my head of like, how do I get there?
3 to 5. Wow.
So I guess just that. And, I run the event annually. People always say, hey, can we do this again in the fall? Can we do this? I'm like, no, can't possibly put it together twice a year.
That's just based on the scheduling alone, what you have to go through, that would be wow. What's been your highest total for our students? 200 plus?
Yeah, right around there. I think I'm guilty of not looking at my spreadsheet from this year yet, because I had to teach at an event in North Carolina 4 days after, and so I was just kind of like hit the ground running after the event and haven't had time to kind of go back. But I think previous to this year, I think we had 214 instructor-student combo was the spreadsheet, and I know we were over 200 this year, so it was certainly comparable to our biggest year. And it's always waves. There's always good years and bad years with anything we do. But the fact that we've been able to create an environment where everybody enjoys coming together, both on an instructor level, that the bond of everybody has with each other, and being able to spend time and share and hang out. And then that has lended itself to be a great environment for students to learn. So therefore, students look forward to coming back every year. And so, it's just kind of a win-win formula.
No, I think you're doing it so well too. Again, for folks that are watching, it's my first year, but I just was amazed at what you've created there. I just think it was just phenomenal. Don't have enough accolades to describe it. So with FMA, because I know you got to get going soon, but I got a couple more questions. For FMA, like all the styles that you kind of experience and all that, is there a particular style that you really enjoy that you would like to go deeper in?
It's personality based for me. Datu Tim, Steve Lefebvre, Mike Williams, and May. It pretty much the people that I enjoy learning from, because they make it fun. They're charismatic. They're skilled. So I enjoy anything where I can kind of laugh and have a good time while getting beat up. For lack of a better way to put it, I want an instructor that can make me feel like a white belt in whatever they're teaching, and at the same time be able to laugh and have a good time doing it. I think there's an awful lot of information out there, and so finding the instructor that you click with mentally is the most important thing to me. So I love getting involved in that stuff because I love the people teaching it. So yeah, man, anything I can learn from people I enjoy learning from is really where I want to go personally.
Okay, so much not predicated on style, but the teacher and their charisma and all that. Yeah, which totally makes sense, right? You want to be around somebody enjoyable.
I love all martial arts. Honestly, there's not an art that I look at and say, man, I don't want to do that. It's all about the people teaching it, and so one of the things that often Superfoot says in his seminars is, you may not do something exactly like me, but there's somebody out there that will. So how do you adapt what you're doing to contend with that being done that particular way? So for me, it's about filling those voids, filling the gaps. And, if I had to defend myself against the person that had this skill set, how would I do that? It's kind of like the chess game. Why I've always liked sparring and fighting and competing, because it's a chess game.
The strategy.
I know it sounds funny, but sometimes getting beat down like you didn't know what you were doing is the most fun. You just leave and like, man, I thought I was better. But then it's like, okay, how do I do that? How do I fix that? How do I fill in that gap? And that's what I enjoy the most. Is being
right, then you can see areas of improvement, or because or deficits that you need maybe to work on or what have you. For sure. I guess through failures, right? Through success, learning, right? If we're constantly succeeding, it's going to be tough to learn. But if this could be any art, if you had time where you could dedicate yourself to really going in deep into any particular art, what is there one of interest that you'd like to go from ground in and kind of see it through?
I don't know, man. That's a tough question.
Or two? One or two?
I've been exposed to a lot, and I enjoy learning them all. I mean, certainly anything FMA, I feel like I have a very remedial knowledge in, and I really enjoy it. So I wouldn't pick an FMA system being on your show, but I've studied Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and catch wrestling and Kempo, Japanese Jiu-Jitsu. I have black belt ranks in Kempo and Japanese Jiu-Jitsu, as well as my Superfoot rank. So probably not, it sounds like I'm just saying it because I'm on an FMA show, but if I had time to really just focus in on something, I think it's a very comprehensive system where you can learn all those different ranges, right? You got the long range, you got short range and trapping, you got the grappling aspects of it, self-defense aspect. So there's so many things in it. I think that fascinates me because it's not just a pigeonhole. Here you're going to learn this one final thing. It's like there's always kind of more, and so I don't know I know it's a little vague, but
no, you're right. It's very comprehensive. I mean, like you got Largo, medium range, short. Then you got, like you said, there's trapping, there's clinch. I mean, there's ground components, and then the variation of the weapon, single, double, short and long. I mean, staff, flexible. I mean, it's like, to truly quote unquote master it. I mean, I think there's components, but if you look at the totality of everything that's under the umbrella of FMA, it's so diverse.
It's my love of sparring as well. So
yeah. So I mean, no argument here as far as if you want to pursue. And it sounds like, with Mike Williams, Datu Tim, sounds like you probably got been exposed to a lot of modern niece. It sounds like, I'm guessing,
Absolutely. I mean, I think again, just like-minded people, all of you guys have a multitude of different backgrounds with different teachers within the FMA community. And so it's nice when everybody gets together because they share the commonalities, but at the same token, you all bring something just a little bit to the table. And it's always fascinating to see somebody's different spin on it and how that kind of fits in. So, yeah, I mean, man, there's so many thousands of teachers out there that I'd love to train with because they're so good at what they do.
Not enough time in a lifetime, right?
Right. I mean, between running a school full time and helping run the Superfoot organization and then having a family, it's like I don't have free time.
I know. It's like here at the interviews and training and then teaching and home. Yeah, it's like, there's a bunch of other systems I would love to do it, but it wouldn't be fair to the teacher or the system for me just to go about it haphazardly. So yeah, we need like a few more lifetimes. But
Absolutely.
So next one, April 21st, 22nd, 23rd.
That sounds right.
I think Tim, okay.
Yeah, well, Tim plugged it. I can check the calendar. I just didn't want to be looking at my phone.
I think that does ring a bell.
Calendar. Let's skip ahead to next year. April. Yep, April 21st is a Friday, so 21, 22, 23 of 2023.
2000, right. And okay. Well, I can't forget that the 21st is my birthday. So
there you go. Well, that's what we're doing it this time. We're going to celebrate your birthday. It's a big birthday party for you, Dean.
Dean, you blew it. We're going to surprise you. So, and folks, if you're watching Manchester, New Hampshire, this is where this is held. Where can folks, if they want to get more info, where can we direct them to?
Just find me. I mean, probably through Facebook is the easiest. I do have a Martial Arts Symposium Facebook page. My gym is called the Training Station in New Hampshire. And
Training Station. Okay.
Yeah, you could always hit the info button and send me an email through there. My wife probably get the email and then tell me somebody inquired about something. So Facebook's probably the easiest way, or
Facebook Messenger. Okay.
Yeah, and my cell phone is actually on my Facebook page, the number that's listed. So call or text. it's fine. Happy to answer any questions, help different people get involved. If an instructor of a system is watching and wants to get involved, like Tim said, come attend, but make sure you tell me that you're coming, tell me that you're an instructor. That way I can network you and plug you in and introduce you to people. Because that's how it all works. We have to network and train together and
work together. Yeah. I mean, and again, just like my deepest appreciation for you, listening to Tim.
I don't know why I do it, but he's.
I don't know why I listened to Tim regarding you. He said something about FMA discussion, and I don't know. I just felt sorry for the guy who's interviewing these people. So, well, I really appreciate it. Again, just what you created, how you present yourself, what you're trying to push as far as themes and, working together, unity. I just think what you got going on there is just stellar, so
Thank you very much.
Kudos to you, and everything that you do. And folks, again, if you have not, I urge you to check this out. Again, next year it's going to be the 21st, 22nd, 23rd of April, 2023. And information is readily available. You can Facebook message Master Terry. I'm going to put the symposium page on. So information is there. There's a neat hotel that's right there. It's affordable. You can, and they're taking reservations now. Am I correct?
Yeah, we have the room block already set up. So you can make one, and I don't think you pay till next year, but it's great.
Oh, okay.
It's the Best Western Executive Court Conference Center in Manchester, and they own the hotel and the conference room and the backyard brewery, which is a really, really good food and beverage place in the same parking lot. Like so it's one stop for everything. You really don't have to leave the facility once you get there. You can, but there's no reason to. No.
I mean, it really is. I don't. The whole time I was there, I didn't need to leave at all. I mean, it was. Yeah. I mean, it was. Everything was right there. So it's very, very convenient. Yeah. But again, I want to thank you, Master Terry, for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Honored to be a part of it all. Thank you, and thanks to everyone for listening to us for however long we've been on.
Yeah. No, everybody, the comments speak for themselves. Yeah, we got.
I see a lot of my friends in the comment section.
Yeah.
People that I've seen, comment that haven't even got to meet before. So looking forward to meeting you guys that are in there.
Definitely. I know that, but looks like I'll be seeing you next year. So
sounds good to me.
All right. You take care.
All right. Thanks everybody.
All right, bye. All right. That wraps up 291 tonight, 292 at 9:00, 2 on Tim Wade and Google Fur. So this is going to be part 3. Or no, I'm sorry. Wait. Yes. Part 3 or 4. My gosh, I got to check that out. But anyhow, the PTK theme episodes. So tonight, again, 2 on Tim Wade and his student and Guru Ferd. We're going to be talking about the Doce Methodos, 12 methods. So that should be pretty interesting. So if you're 9:00, a little later than usual than we do on the East Coast. But that's basically to accommodate both them, John Tim being in Texas and Guru Ferd being in California. So if you have questions for those guys, please PM me. I'll be sure that they get asked or answered rather. And we have this weekend raffle, Ukrainian refugees, 6:00 Sunday. We're raffling all the items. So if you bought and paid into for the promo that 2 on Bill McGrath did, you are automatically put into the raffle for the other prizes. So if you bought, let's say you spent $50 towards 2 on Bill, you got 5 tickets towards the raffle. So we have the whole list. So be sure to check that out. You can win something on top of what the great deal you got from Bill McGrath's videos. All right, folks. If you haven't already, please subscribe for the discussion where all our money goes to charity. All right, and we'll see you tonight at 9.